Dear learner, welcome to the NIOS course on sociology. Today we are going to discuss two of the very basic and important concepts of sociology, that is norms and value. Norms and values is a very fundamental concept of sociology, and for a student of sociology it is very important to understand. These are also one of the constituent concepts of sociology. So, the objective of the today's discussion would be to understand the meaning of norms and values, objectives of norms and values, then different forms of norms and values, and what happens when there is no norms in the society, and that would lead to a normlessness. So, that we will discuss in today's lecture. So, what is norms and how do we understand norm? What is norm? That is the most important basic concept. So, you understand, we as a part of society follow certain rules and regulations, certain guidelines, directions to our conduct and behavior, and that is what is defined as a norms. Simply, if we define norms, is a guideline and direction to our behavior, which help us to perform our day-to-day conduct and behavior in a society. For example, when you as a student enter into a class, you are supposed to wish to your teacher. That is a commonly accepted norms in a society. We wish our elders, and if someone helps us, we also say thanks to our friend whosoever is helping us. That is a common courtesy and norms in our society. Norms are shared in nature, right? And if I believe something is right, and if some guidelines are given to me as a part of society, the same meaning is understood by the others as well. For example, I believe that as a part of class, in the class, I have to say good morning or good afternoon to a teacher. The other students sitting in the class would also believe the same thing. So, norms, you can call it as an unwritten rule of society. These are unwritten but accepted by each and every member of the society and understood in a similar way. So, these are understood, unwritten and shared in nature, right. So, this is simply meaning of norms, and it is just a direction to our behavior in a society. Now, norms are of, it could be a personal norm or a social norm. No, personal norm is that whatever you believe, whether you want to wish your teacher or not, that is up to you. But there are social norms which we all believe. So, sociology and sociologists are basically concerned about social norms. We are basically concerned about that what are the common directed directions, guidelines to our behavior in a society, how we should behave in a society, how we should clothe ourselves, that is accepted now. That is different in Indian society and in a Western society. So, personal norms and social norm, but basically we as a student of sociology are much more concerned about the collective directions, to the individual members of society, which is called a social norm. Now, social norm, since it is a very important for the functioning of the society, without norms or a social norms, it is impossible to think of a society. There will be a chaos in a society. For example, you as a student wake up early in the morning, and after you follow certain routine and then reach to the college, right. And in the college there are certain lectures and periods which are arranged, and you are supposed to attend these lectures, right. This is a commonly accepted kind of norm. Suppose you wake up sometime in the early morning and you do not know what to do, right. Then it will be like a chaos. Now, you meet someone, you know that you have to wish your elder or say something. If there is no directed guidelines what you have to do in a common situation, then what you will do? There will be a chaos, right. So, society always assure that commonly accepted norms should be implemented, and each and every member of the society should accept these norms and follow these norms. So, for that, assuring that acceptance of the norms, there is a sanction as well, right. If as a member of society you follow the norms, then you will be rewarded, and if you do not follow the norms, you will be penalized. Let us take an example of a classroom again. As a student, you are supposed to follow the instruction of a teacher. You need to appear in examination, okay. You need to complete your lessons whatever given by a teacher, and you have to maintain certain behavior in a class, right. a friendly behavior and disciplinary behavior, right. So, that is what school will promote always, and if someone or some student follow these routines, that student will be rewarded. He may be considered as a student of the year, right. Some kind of rewards are will be given, and that is also sanction. Sanction can be positive or negative, right. If you do not follow that instruction, the accepted norms, you may be penalized, you may be fined or given a kind of penalty by the school. So, these sanction may be positive or negative. Now, sanctions are also informal or formal in nature. For example, again taking the example of a school, if you follow certain behavior, right, so certain norms, and that norms are considered as good or bad, whatever, the institution will reward you accordingly. If you follow that norms, the school or institution would also appreciate and give you certain kind of reward. If you do not follow, you may be penalized. But on the other hand, for example, you are walking on a road and you are helping someone, some older person to cross the road, okay, and there is no one, there is no institution, you can skip also, you cannot help also, but you help that old guy, old person who wants to cross the road. So, what happened? The person standing nearby may appreciate you, clap or give a smile. So, that is also kind of sanction, that is also positive sanction, but there is no formality, right. The person may not meet you next time. So, society always need a kinds of norm, and sanctions assure whether you follow or it assures whether you follow or not, right. If you follow, you will be rewarded. If you do not follow, you may be penalized, right. So, now let us discuss the characteristics of norm. Till now we have discussed the meaning of norms, then we did discuss about personal and social norms, then we discussed about sanctions which are positive, negative and formal and informal in nature, right. Now, what are the characteristics of after having this discussion? What do you think norms are? What are norms, right? What are the 3-4 characteristics if you have to draw? Okay. So, the characteristic would be that these are a very natural part of a society. These would exist anywhere, any society you talk of, you will find norms there. In any norms may be different, right? For example, norms regarding how you have to interact with the teacher, how you have to interact with your elders. The norms may be different, but norms do exist in each and every society. Norms always have a context. As I said, that norms may vary across the society, right? Norms are there, but the guidelines how you have to behave may vary, right? So, these are always contextual in nature. Now, the third one, the very important characteristics of norm what we discuss is norms are always backed by sanctions in each and every society. Whether you talk about Indian society, whether you talk about Western society or whatever, there will always be a sanction behind the norms. So, these are the 3 very important characteristics of a norm. You may draw some more characteristics, but these are the fundamental characteristics of any kinds of norm. Now, if I ask you whether norms are important for a society or not, right? So, what would be the importance of a norm? If someone asks you, tell us what are the importance of norms, whether norms are needed or not. If there is no norm, then what will happen? So, norms are essential and very, very important for the society, right? Look, while we drew some examples, I told you, how it pattern your life. It gives you a ready-made guidelines how you have to behave. It gives you a direction. You need not to think again and again, right? In certain situations. So, norms, when we talk about importance, it gives consistency and clarity to you how you have to behave as a part of a society, right? That is a very important constituent of the society, and that what makes norms a very important and essential from any kind of society, right? And therefore, norms give cohesion, solidarity to the society. If there is no norms in a class, if there is no norm in a family, so we will behave differently personally, and that might lead to a conflict of interest sometime. If there is accepted norms, then we may not have any kind of conflict, we know what we are supposed to do, and accordingly we will perform our duties and responsibilities, whatever our role is, right? As a father, as a brother, as a sister, as a son, whatever our role, whether we are a part of a school. So each of these institutions and organizations has certain kind of demands and certain kind of normative guidelines, and that makes for us to behave accordingly, and that makes it very easy for us also, right? Now consider a situation, for example a classroom, right? You enter into a classroom and there is no guideline given to you. There is no guideline, you do not know how to behave in a classroom, and what it leads to? It will lead to a certain kind of conflict, right? The conflict of role between teacher and a student. Who has to teach, who has to learn, how the student has to behave in a class. That will be a lot of anomaly will result into out of this order, because there is no norms and guidelines. For example, let's take the example of a family. No, family has a certain hierarchy, right? There is a father, a mother, elder brothers, sisters, then there are grandparents, right? So accordingly, we each of us has a certain kind of roles and duties within a family, and the normative situation says that when we have to take certain kind of decisions, we are supposed to have a discussion with parents, so we have a particular way of behavior within the family also. If that doesn't exist, that again will be a chaos, and it will be a probable kind of threat to the institution of a family. So that normlessness, one of very important kind of threat to any kind of institution, and guidelines given in the form of norms keep these institution organizations in a very cohesive order, right? Now after having a discussion with the characteristics of norms, right, now let us discuss what are the types of norms, whether we have different forms of norms or not, right? So sociologists have discussed, in different literature you will find sociologists are discussing different forms of norms, right? But here we will limit to ourselves to 3-4 important types of norms which are very popular, right? And these are norms. For example, the first category which is very popularly known as norms is prescriptive and proscriptive, right? Prescriptive is that one which is prescribed to you. You have to behave in a very particular way within a family, or let's take an example of a school, okay? You have to behave within a particular kind of, you have to maintain a particular kind of behavior or a action, right? That is prescriptive to you. And proscriptive is one when there is no prescription is given, right? There is no prescription and you can refrain the prescriptive order because there is nothing, no guideline is given. So it means you have your own personal choices, right? And again there is a one more type of norms which is called communal versus associational. Now communal kind of norm exists everywhere, it is like almost universal in nature. For example, you meet your friends and you meet someone for the very first time. What you will do? Most of the time we say hello or we shake hand, right? And whether it is in India, whether it is in Europe, anywhere across the world, the same kind of behavior is maintained. We always wish, right? This is a communal kind of norm. Now there is also associational kind of norm, and associational kind of norm exists among a set of communities or groups. For example, sacred thread kind of norm, which only higher caste people in India perform the ritual performance where they have a sacred thread, and this kind of norm exists only among higher caste, especially among the Brahmins in India. So you cannot find it in Europe or other communities. Even within India you won't find across the communities. So this is very associational, exists across certain communities and association. This is associational. Now norms are also discussed in 3 different varieties as well, right? And this is very important and it needs to be dealt in detail in some other discussion, and these are called folkways, modes and customs. These are also 3 different ways of norms. Now folkways, as the name itself shows, it is the way of life of a community. For example, any community you say you visited, you see a tribal community or a modern community living in a metropolitan area, they have a way of life, right? That is called as folkway. It can be anything, right? From morning to evening, whatever kind of behavior, action they perform, that is folkways. Now, there is a one more kind of norm which is called mores, and mores is that which is accepted as good, right? Which is acceptable form of behavior within a community or a society. So, you perform different kind of roles from morning to evening, but from out of all these roles from morning to evening, there are certain kind of actions you perform which are objectionable, right? Which are not accepted, and there are certain kind of action which are accepted by everybody. So, that could be called as modes, right? And there is a one more concept which is called custom, and custom is also be called as a one more type of norms, and customs are basically patterned way of life. Now, patterned way of life, what is patterned way of life? For example, you as a part of any community or society perform certain rituals, certain kind of festivals that have been performed by your forefathers also, your parents also, and your children will also perform. That is a routinized pattern of behavior, perform over a period of time. So, this is called custom. So, these are the three types of norms we have discussed: prescriptive versus proscriptive. Then we did discuss about communal and associational, and third one we discussed folkways, modes and customs. So, let us just for a moment summarize norms only. What we discussed norms, norms are essential for community, for society, without which it is very difficult to imagine about a society, and it is shared. Norms may vary from across society to society, but we always have a norm, right? And it has different typologies. We discussed three important typologies, and characteristics we discuss it provide a very kind of cohesiveness and solidarity to the society. Now, the next concept is values. Norms and values are usually discussed together, right? So, that is why we are taking it together also. Now, what are values? You discuss when you read in the literature, you will be to some extent student get confused what is the difference between norms and values. There is a very sharp difference. For example, while discussing norms, we said that norms are general guide, directions or guidelines to your behavior, right? You have to do within this situation some kind of behavior you have to maintain. Now, values are broader in nature. These are the general guidelines, okay? These are the general guidelines, and out of values you can derive so many norms. So, is it clear? Like from values, number of norms comes out. So, we will take certain examples how to understand, but the one definition of value which I have taken from Harlamus, Themes and Perspective, it says that values provide more general guidelines. A value is a belief that something is good and desirable. It defines what is important, worthwhile and worth striving for. So, that is what is called as value system, right? Now, as I said that values are broader in nature, and within values gives birth to number of norms. So, one value will give birth to so many norms. So, norms are very specific in nature, right? So, for example, in a Western society, again taking example from Themes and Perspective Harlamus, it says that in a Western society, individuality and achievement are given lot of importance. As an individual, your individuality is very important and achievement is very important. That is why people are in competition with each other and to top within the class. Then after getting good grades and marks, you have to get a very good job and earn as much as possible, right? Material resources you have to collect, and these are the norms. This is the value system which actually govern the Western society. Now, what would be the norms coming out of it? The norms are like that you have to do lot of hard work, right? You have to always compete with your colleagues, and you always be very careful, very serious about your future and job opportunities and all that. So, these are the norms coming out of the major value of individuality and achievement. Again, let us take one more example. of value system, the value system of individual dignity and importance to life. This is the value system, right? Now out of this, the norms would be health and hygiene, right? Because if there is no health and hygiene, that is a threat to your life, right? So you have to maintain cleanliness, you have to maintain your neighborhood clean, right? And apart from that, if you dialogue, if you are discussing or resolving certain conflict, so you have to be very polite and humble and listen, so that physical violence and quarrel should be avoided. That is a probable threat to your life. So these kind of norms comes out of a broader value of importance to life. So these two examples makes very clear that value system is broader in nature, and within that normative directions comes out, and as a part of society, whether Indian society or a Western society, we follow it. Now, like norms, what is the importance of a value system? It is same, right? It is not different, mainly it is same, that it provides again stability. If there is no value system, you are born as a member of society and you do not know what you are supposed to do. So you will have your own values, and another person will also have its own values, that might have a clash, right? So broader values provide stability and cohesiveness, as we have discussed in the norms. Norms also perform the same function, but norms are the subset of value system. Okay, values gives birth to norms, so it is a subset of, but they almost perform the same function. The next one is that what are the characteristics of value? This is again not very different from the norm what we discussed just now. So values are actually a matter of faith and belief, right? Now the value like individuality and achievement, this is one of value system of a Western society. But as an individual, you may not believe in competition. It is possible, right? You may not believe in competition. You say that as a part of class, I do not believe in competition. I will just focus on my learning, and that is more important. And that is a value system in Indian society actually, not to compete to some extent, to focus on your studies, and that is what also the modern pedagogy also promotes. Do not compete with your colleagues, but compete with yourself, learn yourself and decide your own choices, right? So that's why value system may be a broader in nature, but within value system you may have different kind of value within the same value system. So it is a matter of faith and belief also, and it is very general in nature, because it is a general guideline, and specifically norms only give you a direction, right? And values are relatively permanent in nature. It may change. It is not, nothing is permanent actually. It may change. Value system keeps on changing. For example, so we'll take example of an Indian society to discuss the value system. For example, often literature discuss conflict in the value system. Look, the older, the ancient Indian society had a different value system, and the modern Indian society has a very different value system. So we will discuss three value systems like hierarchy, holism and democracy. Look, earlier the Indian society was hierarchical in nature. We used to have a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra kind of hierarchical system. Accordingly, groups were arranged, and we used to get a status according to our position in the caste hierarchy. Now the modern society is democratic in nature. It prohibit untouchability and casteism and hierarchy. The democratic value are exactly different from the hierarchical system of the Indian society. So the earlier value system and the present value system now are in conflict with each other, right? So what I said, that value itself changes, and sometimes the early value system of society and the present value system of society conflict with each other. So that leads, there is an intergenerational kind of conflict also in the value system. The earlier generation, our fathers or forefathers used to believe in a family, system where we used to take permission from our family members, elders. Now the younger generation is much more individual in nature. They take their own decision. So it is a value clash and conflict. The value keeps on conflicting, clashing with each other. Now, what are the kinds of value? Like we discuss in norms, different types of norm. No, there are different value system also, and different value system gives birth to so many norms also. Values the most important kind of value or type of value is moral value. It gives direction to our moral behavior, right? And another is very important, prominent, is rational value, which is scientific and logical. If you have to succeed in your life, you have to do hard work. The normative value is to do hard work, right? It is called a rational value. Then there is also variant value, the third form. That variant form is that you choose your own value and accordingly you behave, right? Each one of as an individual has our own value system, and accordingly we are behaving, and deciding our own trajectory, right? And there is a dominant value, fourth kind of category. Dominant value is that which is predominant in society and each one of us believes, right? For example, not stealing, not killing anyone, not lying. These are dominant value. No one would say these are wrong. So friends, we discussed today, we started from norms and we ended with values. We did discuss about meaning of norms, meaning of values, then types of norms and types of value. Now, we also discussed that what is the relation between norms and values. Norms and values are coherently related, very important for society, and value is a broader in nature and norms comes out of the value system, okay? And it gives direction to norms, it gives guidelines for the norms, and norms give direction to our behavior. So, I hope you have understood the concept of norms and value. Thank you.